It seems that history is being made right now in the crypto industry as an alternative layer 1 is for the first time ever outstripping the king Ethereum in one of the most important categories in the history of cryptocurrency. That's right, we now have Solana NFTs taking the lead for the first time ever, doing more volume in trading than OpenSea, and this has monstrous consequences. So today we're going to explore the question, is the NFT industry in process of transitioning from slow and expensive Ethereum into a low-fee, high-performance environment like Solana? Is the clout associated with the ERC standards no longer applicable to the artifacts of the internet, the non-fungible treasures of the crypto ecosystem? Have we now had a collective shift into believing that the value of NFTs can exist on any chain, specifically on Solana? Or is this just a temporary fluctuation in the midst of a violent bear market, in response to which normal conditions will shortly resume? We have the answer for you, so make sure you watch this front to back, as we're going to be breaking down everything going on with Solana Summer, these astronomical gains happening on Solana, and what my breakdown of this change in the market leads me to believe. You're definitely going to love this one, so make sure you smash that like button, destroy it, because today we begin to evaluate the flippening of Solana and Ethereum NFTs. So as you can see, for the first time, Magic Eden, which is the main marketplace on Solana, has flipped OpenSea in weekly active users. In that same time frame, they've had almost 10 times more transactions. Zoom out, Solana NFT growth is unstoppable. Now, as you can see, there's some statistics here. We have OpenSea on the top with 121K users. We have Solana Magic Eden on the bottom with 126K, fairly comparable there, but there's way more transactions with 300K on OpenSea/Ethereum, and there's literally almost 10x with 2.28 million on Solana. So how does this make any sense? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Solana NFTs are cheaper, the transaction fees are cheaper, and so the overall transactional volume is way lower while still maintaining higher users and higher amounts of transactions. Put this little statistic feather in your cap, as we're going to come back to it when we break down the significance of each one of these pieces of data at the end. As you can see, the DAUs here for Solana's Magic Eden after the collapse here, January 1, you could see that Solana NFTs went almost completely dead here. And then boom, they sprung to life like a phoenix from the ashes. Absolutely incredible, staggering growth. You can see here the red line compared to the blue line, which is, of course, the stagnation of OpenSea NFTs. Now, I want to be very clear here. OpenSea is trading at very significant lows as far as Ethereum total volume. And it's very important for you to realize that Magic Eden and Solana are trading at all-time highs amount of volume and users. So this is an inverse fluctuation. We're seeing a massive party occur on Solana while people are gradually filtering out of Ethereum. And we really need to understand, is this a larger trend? Is this the beginning of a mega trend? Or is this a fluctuation in the market? Again, we're going to tackle that at the end. So what happened here and how can we understand this transition? Well, one of the biggest events that happened was the creation of the OK Bears. OK Bears is Solana's response to Bored Ape Yacht Club. As you can see, they have these streetwear-inspired bears, and they have their own saying here. Now, a lot of people enjoy this streetwear aesthetic. They compare it a lot to Bored Ape Yacht Club, but more importantly, the OK Bears have their own brand, their own identity and ethos, Wagbo. As you can see, they have a nice logo here, the OK Bears. It's got this OK brand. They also have this culture here of throwing up the OK sign. And it's a little bit less about making it. It's a little bit less about coming up. And it's more about just being okay. I don't know. There's something kind of comforting about the brand. You can see they're all throwing up this little OK symbol here. And there was something about this that just really struck a chord. I know that big community leaders like Nate Rivers, who's a very well-known Kong from the Cyber Kongs, you can see here he tagged Banks. Banks hopped on and made one of his first biggest posts since Imposters about another NFT project, and he went full on into the OK Bears. Again, you see here Nate Rivers is a massive Solana advocate, and he was previously one of the biggest NFT advocates on Ethereum. So this shift of major ETH influencers, major ETH NFT collectors to Solana is something that we haven't seen as much yet. We had more seen people experimenting on Solana, little tribes of retail forming on Solana, Solana, especially during Solana summer of 2021, when Solana was like this, up only. But of course, that inspires a ton of people to want to go deeper into the ecosystem. It's very impressive to see people jumping into Solana when the sole underlying token isn't going ballistic. That is where you start seeing actual product adoption, actual network adoption, not just the adoption in response to parabolic gains. That's a really important tidbit I want you to remember. You can see here how many posts Nate Rivers has about the OK Bears. You can see it's just bears, 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 bears. But as you can see here, he has here a Trippin Ape in his profile pic. So what is a Trippin Ape, you might be wondering? We're going to get to that in a second, because the Solana summer of 2022 has been filled with a ton of extremely exciting projects. And just to be clear here, as Moon Overlord explains, Solana has something that cannot be bought, cannot be influenced, but it's legitimate NFT adoption happening right now. Is this a permanent trend, or is this a moment of experimentation in a low-fee environment? Again, that's what we'll talk about at the end. But this is a major, major piece of information. And seeing it happen not when Solana is in up-only mode, but actually losing value is extremely, extremely interesting. OK Bears was so influential that it actually inspired the first version of a Solana NFT project getting copied on Ethereum. This was happening in the inverse last year, where Bored Ape Yacht Club got copied on Solana and effectively ripped off and plagiarized and then sold as cheap fakes. Well, they did the exact same thing this time, but on Ethereum. They had the not OK Bears trading on OpenSea on Ethereum, and this was the carbon copy, literally the flipped images of the OK Bears, which is, in my opinion, disgusting. But the fact is that Ethereum is now copying Solana projects. This is a shift that you just need to understand is actually significant from a cultural standpoint. Like, what do I care about? I care about where the cultural mindshare is, because NFTs are trading culture. Now, up until this point, there was zero evidence of genuine cultural adoption of Solana NFTs. Again, another feather in the cap, a piece of data. We're going to talk about all this at the end, and I'm going to give you my conclusion. But really important pieces of data that help you understand how significant this may or may not be. And as you can see, top Solana projects didn't just include the OK Bears, but people were going crazy about ReptilianRenegades or something like that. It's important to realize that not all projects are good, and there are bad projects on Solana as well. In the case of ReptilianRenegades, this was actually a rug-a-rooney that was done blatantly and grotesquely by the founder, who actually had done rugs in the past and seemed to be getting enjoyment out of it. So just be careful out there. Not everything is what it seems in NFTs, in crypto, and even on Solana, well, of course on Solana, on any chain, you can get scammed. So ReptilianRenegades, as I understand, allegedly, I'm not actually following the story that closely. I believe that this was a rug. As you can see, the account doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, I think it's been a full hard rug. And now we even have my good friend and co-founder of Neo Tokyo, Alex Becker, expressing some excitement and desire to use NFTs on Solana for some of the future endeavors of Neo Tokyo, something I'm super, super excited about. Some of the stuff we've been planning in the background. I believe this is an exciting proposition. And as you can see from the comments below, it's definitely something that was controversial. But he brings up a very good point here, which is that people all say Solana goes down every now and then. That's true. Solana does go down. It ends up stopping producing blocks until it can then be rebooted effectively. And this is annoying for sure. In those times, you can't trade, you can't exit positions, and in general, blockchains should not experience downtime. However, the reality is that ETH fees cost a pretty penny. It is extremely expensive, and the other deeds mint for Bored Ape Yacht Club's metaverse other side ended up costing like hundreds of millions of dollars in failed transaction fees. That is not a small boo-boo, as Becker explains here, and the fact that Solana does go down is maybe a worthy trade-off for hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in waste. You decide. Again, I'm more of an Ethereum maxi, I'm more of a decentralization maxi, and these types of things are more sticky for me. Let me save this particular tidbit for the end. Again, I'm just amassing information where I'm going to then dissect it all for you at the end. But remember, this is a very important trade-off, which is speed and scalability and low fees versus full decentralization, always up, and pretty much the reliability of knowing that ETH is going to do ETH things regardless, whereas Solana is still more in the experimental phase. So what are the hot projects on Solana? Well, today we just got the launch of Trippin Ape Tribe. Now, this is a crazy hyped project. You can see from their numbers, almost 400K. I saw a post that they put up a couple of days ago that had 92,000 likes, something just absolutely unconscionably astronomical. I don't know how low it is here, but anyway, the point is their socials are just blowing up in a way, like 82,000 likes here. Just absolutely crazy stuff for a whitelist giveaway. This is even more than like PXN was doing, and that was like the craziest that I had seen. So again, super duper hyped, and you can assume that anyone who made it on whitelist is rolling in it right now. And wouldn't you know it, but this NFT drop literally was breaking Solana. I don't know if blocks were having a tough time getting processed. Everyone was dumping their NFTs in the hopes of getting Trippin Apes tomorrow. The liquidity drain and recycle was going to be interesting to watch according to Function. Again, you're seeing so many people jump over to Sol NFTs that were once ETH NFT influencers or proponents. Look at this. You have a group of newbies that have minted 4 Trippin Apes, and they're mostly newbies here, as you can see, and they have 100K at current floor price. That's $100,000 at current floor prices. Again, finding NFTs, the hyped ones, getting onto whitelists. These are still skills that are creating a tremendous amount of gains for the people that are hustling their way onto these whitelists. Again, I've told you this since the beginning of 2022, that these types of really grinding hustle activities, if you can get onto things like PXN, Trippin Apes, these types of whitelists will make you crazy money. And so the question is this: did the gang buy the top on the Solana NFTs? This is a Always Sunny reference. If you guys watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the reality is that we're trying to figure out, is this a wave here? Are we a bunch of exit liquidity for a couple of creative whales here? Or is this a genuine cultural movement? We've got your answer in just a second. But before I go there, I wanted to take a second to shout out this Chris Dixon tweet. Chris Dixon is a partner at Sequoia, one of the most important VCs in the world. And Chris Dixon is an OG. They're one of the biggest, earliest Web3 proponents. I really dig Chris Dixon's style and his posts. He draws attention to, in this particular tweet, that NFTs have created in 2021 $3.9 billion in revenue for creators. Spotify has done $7 billion in revenue for creators, which is an average of $636 per artist. YouTube has done $15 billion in 2021 for creators, an average of $2.47 per channel. And Facebook has done $300 million with an average of 10 cents per user. Now, as you can see, per user, with NFTs sitting at $174,000 per creator, this is astronomical. This is only possible because it's so early. In the future, NFT revenues will become much more normalized. But it just shows you that revenue from creators to creators is unparalleled in Web3 compared to Web2. And this is the beginning of a major trend of value accrual to the original creators, to the value creators, not just at a creator level and influencer level. But what we'll start seeing is that'll be happening across the user spectrum, all the way down to people who just use and enjoy content. That's something I'm very passionate about. But this is just a beautiful thing to see. Another awesome project is the Catalina whale mixer and WAGMI Beach. Now, I actually know the people who created this project. They're some of my buddies from LA, real veterans in the music industry, and they created an awesome collectible that was started at 1 Sol back in the fall of last year and ended up rocketing to 100 Sol in floor price, which is 100x in Sol value. Obviously, USD is not quite as big, but they've done amazingly. They have some pretty cool art here. They have the Catalina whales. You may have seen them around here. Definitely some sick PFP art. You gotta love it. But what's really cool is they're actually using their WAGMI Beach sector of their project, which is a component of Catalina Whale Mixer, and they're launching projects like Bubble Goose. Bubble Goose was created by the actual creator of the Boondocks animated series, Carl Jones. Really talented, incredibly prolific artist here. And so you can see that they're bringing the fire with the projects that they're incubating. And you can see as well, for one of the drops within WAGMI Beach, 108K. That is some monster traction. And so they're doing a lot of things right. I actually, full disclosure, have a 1-of-1 honorary Catalina whale. So I'm part of this project. I'm a holder of this project. And I do believe that they're cooking up some really interesting things over there. So just know Solana's filled with some interesting projects, and you should keep your eyes out and make sure that just because they're on Solana doesn't mean you should stop learning about them. So are Solana NFTs the future? Is Solana Summer part of a mega trend in which NFTs port themselves from the extremely clunky, expensive, and environmentally unfriendly Ethereum over to a much more scalable, easy to use, low fee, fast transaction environment that is Solana, with its own unique constraints, its own stage of beta and development in which the chain currently finds itself? Will the greatest cultural artifacts be found on any blockchain, or will that chain exclusively simply be Ethereum? These are the questions that are currently being debated. And let me give you my perspective. There are two things that I want to talk about. First and foremost is cycles. Right now, we are in an extreme down cycle for ETH NFTs. Solana has had the exact same cycle over time. However, this up cycle in Solana matches a down cycle in ETH NFTs, which makes me think that there is quite a bit of collective mindshare jumping from Ethereum to Solana. It's not just so simple as that ETH cooled off and Solana heated up. It's that Solana heated up and actually began stealing meaningful mindshare from Ethereum. Now, back in 2021, when Solana was like $200 and everyone was freaking out, the reality is that a lot of that NFT trading activity, I thought, was pretty smoke and mirrors. You had the big VCs and the big insiders from the Solana ecosystem trading on their insane profits. Instead of just dumping Solana, they were actually converting that Solana into NFTs, and it created this big sort of, in my opinion, not necessarily authentic movement around Solana NFTs. But the seed was planted, and the amount of infrastructure from Magic Eden to the launch tools that started to take root on Solana were absolutely meaningful. And I believe that Solana NFTs right now are experiencing a non-hype but fairly genuine cultural shift away from Ethereum into communities that the general NFT collector base is looking to create. A little bit more grounded, a little bit more humble on pricing, less exclusive, less high fees. These are the types of things that welcome more new users. But the reality is that ETH is still the king of NFTs, that this is a cyclical low, and that it wouldn't surprise me at all to see NFTs jump back to life on Ethereum at some time and end up dwarfing everything that Solana has created, everything that Solana has achieved here. So to answer the question, yes, this is a very genuine move away from Ethereum. There are real genuine players, real diehard NFT collectors and thought leaders leaving Ethereum and finding a very hospitable and friendly home on Solana. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's also worth noting that this move is happening at the extremes, the extreme low of the Ethereum NFT cycle and the extreme high of the Solana NFT cycle. So you could very well be buying the top of the Solana NFT wave. This is why I do not recommend going all in on Solana NFTs, but instead treating it as an experimental new sandbox in which NFTs are finding genuine traction, something that only one chain in the world could ever have said before this, and that is the king, Ethereum. So in my opinion, what's happening on Solana is absolutely important. Does it mean you should be going all in? Absolutely not. However, it's really important to realize that there are awesome projects on Solana, real communities, and that over time, keeping an eye on this particular chain and learning to set up your own wallet, trade NFTs, and engage with the communities over there on Solana is an extremely good idea if you want to stay ahead of the ever-changing world of crypto and NFTs. With that said, let me know if you collected any Solana NFTs. We'll do our best to have balanced coverage across the chains and really get ahead of all trends that could possibly make you money here in crypto land. We all love making a little bit of money, especially in these crazy bearish times. So seeing a bullish pocket, a bullish wave anywhere in crypto is worth paying attention to. I would just approach the situation from a perspective of risk management and make sure that your position sizes are comfortable enough that you could live with a complete loss. As always, I'm EllioTrades. If you enjoyed this one, destroy that like button, absolutely smash it to pieces, and I will see you very soon on the next episode.